obedience received a just recompense of reward. Now, if you observe verse 1 again, I'd like you to take note of something in verse 1 of Hebrews chapter 2 quickly. Verse 1, therefore, we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest at any time we should let them sleep. That word sleep, it means we should let them drift away. That's the way it is in the original Greek. We should let them drift away. If you observe very carefully something here, that every time the law was mentioned in the epistles, it's always referred to as being given by angels. Every time the law was referred to in the epistles, it was always referred to as given by angels. It's a thought that the Bible makes you to be able to separate what God did from what the angels or from what man did. In verse 3 of Hebrews chapter 2, Hebrews chapter 2 verse number 3, please pay attention because I'm going to say some things tonight. How shall we escape if we neglect so great salvation, which at the first began to be spoken by the Lord, and was confirmed unto us by them that heard him? So Jesus began to speak about it. He began to speak, which was spoken by the Lord. Not all, but which was spoken by the Lord. So the four gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are an incomplete documentation of God's plan and purpose. But yet in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you see the beginning of God's plan and purpose. But if you do not see the fulfillment, because there are things that can only be communicated in full details by the Holy Spirit. There are things that can only be communicated in full details by the Holy Spirit. When he said confirmed unto us by them that heard, confirmed unto us by them that heard, it's in italics. Remember, Jesus said in John chapter 16 verse 11. John chapter 16 verse number 11. John 16:11, of judgment, because the prince of this world is judged. Verse 12. I have yet many things to say unto you, but you cannot bear them now. Next verse. Howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. For he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak, and he will show you things to come. So it would be funny to say that them that heard were the four eyewitness accounts of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, because Jesus already emphatically said, I have many things to say unto you, but you cannot bear them now. Howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all the truth. What the writer of Hebrews wrote, you won't see it in the four Gospels, because he dealt with the reality of the offerings of the Old Testament. He also dealt with the reality of the offerings of the law. Then he also dealt with the realities of the shadows that existed and the substance of them. That is what you will find the content and the context of the book of Hebrews, which you will not find in the four Gospels, because it's the Spirit of God that points the revelation behind the symbols. It is the Spirit of God that points the revelation behind the symbols. So it's not about them that heard him, it's about them that heard. Them that heard the Spirit of God. Look at 1 Corinthians 2 verse 9. But as it is written, I had not seen nor ear heard, that have entered into the heart of man the things which God had prepared for them that love him. Next verse. For the Spirit searcheth all things, yea, the deep things of God. Verse 9 refers to the Old Testament. It was Brother Paul quoting from Isaiah, that the Old Testament prophets, their eyes have not seen, nor their ears have heard what God has prepared for those who love him. But God has revealed them to us by his Spirit. Remember, howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all the truth. So God has revealed them unto us by his Spirit. Now come back to Hebrews chapter 2 verse 4. Hebrews chapter number 2 verse 4. God also bearing them witness both with signs and wonders and with divers miracles, and according to his own will. It says that the angels spoke the law, but Christ is the speaking of the gospel. The angels in the Old Testament spoke the law, but Christ is the speaking of the gospel. Observe the difference. Neglect, despise so great salvation. We cannot escape the recompense of reward if we neglect or despise so great salvation. He will despise it because the only way you despise this so great salvation is in your thoughts. The way people despise the gospel today is in their belief system. The gospel sounds too easy. The gospel sounds too ordinary. Just for you to believe that Jesus died, he was buried, and he rose from the dead, and you are saved. it doesn't make sense to a legalist, because a legalist believes that you have to cut your body, you have to do so many things before you are saved. A legalist, his opinion of salvation is works determined. But what Christ has done for us does not require our human works. He did all the job on our behalf. So some people despise what Christ has done because of their belief system.